Paul's effort on reconciling Philemon to Onesimus. In this book, Paul advises Philemon to treat Onesimus as a brother and not a slave. Why is Paul not discouraging Philemon on slave trade? And right through, Paul does not speak about the slave trade, which I presume to be existing very much. Why did Paul go silent on slave trade, Pastor?
Paul was a revolutionary figure, but then he was a child of his own time. He knew that the system that is there cannot be overthrown at once. It would create anarchy, and he was not an anarchist. With that, point of view, we must understand what Paul was doing when he was writing letter to Philemon about Onesimus. Paul was not overthrowing slavery system in the sense that we would expect in the modern time that has happened, as slave system was opposed and slave owners were opposed. No, America wanted to throw away completely the slavery system and everywhere. So in that sense, Paul did not do. But Paul was doing the same task in a different way. He doesn't say to Philemon that slavery system must be abolished. You should not have slaves. But it's very interesting, What is Paul telling them, Philemon? That Philemon, now this person who comes to you, he is my son Onesimus. He's not a slave. He may function as a slave in your house. I'm sending him back to you. He may be slave in the technical sense, but he has become my son, who became my son while I was in chains. Formerly he was useless to you, but now he has become useful both to you and to me. Now when he sends back Onesimus to Philemon, Paul expects Philemon to treat him as a brother in Christ. First point, as a brother in Christ. He may do the work at home like a slave, but Philemon cannot be unchristian in dealing with him, or any slave for that matter. If he's a true Christian, he cannot, because he is now a child of God, and Philemon himself has to realize who he is. He cannot be like any other slave owner in the Roman Empire. See, according to the Roman law, if a slave runs away from the owner can catch him and kill him, and never he will be questioned or punished for that. That was his right. And when Paul is sending back Onesimus to Philemon, Paul knows that this is Philemon's right to do. But he's telling that, remember, he's my son, now useful to you and to me. And also remember that he is now a child of God who is coming back to you, and remember who you are. Another important point is, Paul says, if any damage he has caused to you, put it into my account. I will pay back to you. Okay? What is expected from Onesimus is not overthrowing the system, but as I told you, reforming the system. Paul was encouraging in his own level. He cannot tell all the slave owners to oppose it, but he's telling one slave owner at least who he has in his sphere of influence. He's telling them that, come on, reform it. Have people to work in your home, but don't treat them like animals. They are not objects. They bear the image of God. They are loved by Christ. And remember, you are that. What does he say in Colossians and Ephesians to slave masters? He says that slaves, obey your masters, but he tells masters, deal with them carefully, because you also have a master above you, over you. Right? So that means a master, slave owner must not forget the reality that he will be still standing before the greatest master of the universe. So deal with your slave in that way. And exactly that's what to Philemon also Paul's counsel is. Deal with him with respect. He's a child of God. Remember that who you are. If he has caused any damage, put it into my account. I will pay back to you. Okay? He has become a child. Accept him. Accept him. You cannot kill him. Roman law will allow you to do that. This is your right as per the Roman law. But as a Christian, you cannot do it. But you have to treat him with respect. Although he will work as a slave for you, you have to treat him with respect, or I send him back to you. He was useless to you, but now he's useful to both to you and to me. And that is why the tradition we have to believe. Impact of Paul on Philemon was such, perhaps that later on, Onesimus was manumitted. Because Onesimus in the tradition is one of the bishops of the later church. How did he become a bishop? It's only because Reformation has taken place within Philemon. So abolishing of the system was not Paul's style. Reforming the system from within. That's why I started by saying Paul was a radical, Jew and a revolutionary Jew in that sense. But his way of revolutionizing the system was different. Not the way that we would expect. He was a revolutionary figure, but a child of his own time. He changed the system from within. And if we are able to understand Paul properly, then we would find even that reformation taking place even today, within us, among us.